Hello, mama friends. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Mama Work It podcast. I am so glad you're here as always. If you are new to the show, my name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host and the founder of Mama Work It, where we support women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. And I thought this would be such a good topic for where we are in the season with spring upon us. So we're talking spring cleaning hacks today, particularly in your kitchen, which I think is one of the places I know when it's organized, when it's looking good, it's a place I feel good internally. So I brought on an amazing guest. Her name is Melissa Griffiths. She is the creative soul behind Bless This Mess, a beloved food and lifestyle brand rooted in simple, from scratch cooking, homesteading, and family connection. Starting in 2009 as a personal recipe archive, Melissa grew Bless This Mess into a full-fledged business, authoring cookbooks, teaching sourdough to novices, and helping busy families rediscover the joy and find meaning in everyday moments. Her work isn't just about food, it's about reclaiming time, joy, and connection in a world that often demands more than we have. Melissa, I'm so excited to chat with you, to learn from you, and to dive into this topic. Thank you so much for being here.
So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to know just a little bit more about your journey as a mom, a blogger, a businesswoman, all the hats that you wear to kick us off.
Yeah, I started blogging in 2009 with the rest of the world. I had a blogspot.com because I was out west. My mom and my grandmas were in the Midwest. I got married young. I had babies young. It just started out as a digital journal. And then you'd show up somewhere and someone would be, can I get that recipe? And one of the first ones I remember is just a caramel dip. I took it to a party one fall and I said, yeah, I'll put it on my blog. So in 2009, I put this caramel dip on my blog. I'm sharing pictures of my kids. I'm writing about our life. And then it slowly, I saw other people like only do recipes. And then I said, I could do that. And I called it my money blog from the beginning. I had a business model in mind and I launched in 2012, Bless This Mess. And I love food. I love recipes. I like taking the pictures. But what I really like is that connecting people. I love food as nourishment and celebration and connection. And so to give that to people has always been something that I liked. And so it took on a digital form. And I do teach classes and those kind of things. But just early on, I'm just sharing recipes and I'm sharing our lives. And then as internet's evolving and Google's evolving, I'm getting good at search engine optimization and running a really streamlined, quick website. I'm doing social media. And I don't know where we are right now. It feels like AI has kind of muddied the water a lot. But I'm still just producing recipes because that's my roots and that's what I love. And I have a bunch of kids. We just moved from our house in southern Utah to snowy Vermont this summer, and we are on a grand family adventure across the country and really enjoying it.
Love that. Love that. Now, I should be able to do this mental math in my head, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Were you a mom before the blog, or did you start blogging before you became a mom?
My youngest was one.
One. Okay. So you started kind of
she
as a
was
new
kind
mom.
of why I did. Yeah. I need it.
Yeah.
I like the journal aspect of it.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure you were experimenting in the kitchen with babies and then bringing on more kids into your family and things like that. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. And people just needed to eat over and over again. I mean, it just was relentless. It was endless. So I was like, I should probably figure this out.
Somebody always does need to eat here. I agree. My least favorite food request is after I've cleaned the kitchen at night after dinner and somebody says I'm hungry. And I'm like, why now?
Right. I have like kitchen's closed. Kitchen's closed. You can have a banana. I love you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad to hear I'm not the only mean mom who says that. Okay. So when you think about an organized kitchen, what does that actually mean to you?
I feel like it's functionality. Do you know what I mean? That things have a place, you understand where they are. And a lot of times for me, organization comes down to like workflow. So are things the most commonly used items in the most easily accessible places. And a lot of times organization in a kitchen comes down to like how much stuff you have.
Mm.
Do you
So
know
are
what I mean? Like,
yeah. Are you
yeah.
more on the minimalist mindset with that? Or do you feel like all the bells and whistles are helpform?
No, I just think based on how often you're using them, I like bells and whistles. I cook for a living. So I have baguette pans and springform pans and fancy choppers, but how much I'm using them determines where they are in the kitchen. And I think that that gets lost in translation for a lot of people. So don't put your baguette pan that you're only using 3 times a year in that prime location, which is kind of like if you think of a kitchen as a triangle, and the triangle should be your stove, your sink, and your fridge. And then within those edges of the triangle, that's where most of your kitcheny things that you're using the most often should be. And then if you have a pantry or downstairs storage, or if you have these other things, utilize those for the less commonly used items.
Okay. I love this. I'm like imagining my kitchen right now. Triangle, stove,
Hmm.
fridge, sink, and everything
Because
within those
those are right,
confines.
those are the uses of your kitchen. Those are the
Yeah.
3 things that you need all of the time in that kitchen.
Yeah.
So what rotates around those should be like your most used things.
Okay. Yeah. Makes total sense. Why does, though, the kitchen of all places in the house tend to be one of the most overwhelming spaces to keep organized?
Because I think it's that heart of the home idea. Do you know what I mean? It is the landing place for your life. You come in, you eat there, you cook there, you talk there, you cry there. Do you know what I mean? Like it is
Mhm.
just a well used, well trafficked place. So, of course, it gets all of the extras. Do you know what I mean? It's backpacks and shoes and pencils and office and homework. I think that it's just the frequency of its use that makes it really common to be overwhelming.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I don't know if you have this in your house, Melissa. We have like one counter in the kitchen, one space where like a lot of the papers end up.
Yeah.
The school papers, like the kind of the things without a home, just like are living there. How do you manage that?
I think that you designate the area. Do you know what I mean? Like the junk drawer of the 1990s exists because our moms needed a place to drop all of that stuff. And I think if you
Hmm.
just instate like this is the junk drawer, this is a junk cabinet, this is the landing spot, and when it gets too much or on a schedule, I'm either that like your brain's probably working in 2 ways. It either needs a schedule because you're not going to get to it, or eventually it'll make you crazy and you'll get to it. I'm
Yes.
I'm generally like I have a pretty low tolerance for the crazy, so I know I'll get to it. And I have a sister that's kind of like ADHD, more flowy, and she's like, "No, I need to know on the 1st and the 15th of the month, I need to sit down and do this or it'll never get done." So you should know that about yourself, and like it's not a moral failing, it's just like a brain chemistry kind of thing in my
Yeah,
opinion. So know
absolutely.
if you're a calendar or a it'll get done because you won't tolerate it well. And then just say
Hmm.
I know that I'm going to have to clean this pretty often, but also its purpose is to be messy because I need somewhere that I can have that space.
Yeah.
I have 2 junk drawers. I love them.
All right. So before we even get to the organization piece here, what mindset shift do you recommend moms make when it comes to spring cleaning, when it comes to kitchen organization?
I think that we get stuck on like all or nothing, or we get started and we get really overwhelmed because like, oh, it's
Hmm.
actually going to take me a week to do all of these things. So I feel like bite-sized pieces, because most of us are prone to like biting off a lot or wanting it to be done really well, or you know what I mean, like drop some of the perfectionist and being like if I can get this zone done, or if I can get the fridge done, like that was enough for today, and then spreading it out because you're using it. It's not like you're shutting down the kitchen for a week so that you can clean it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You need it 3
absolutely.
hours later.
Yeah. If not sooner. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, how would you break that down? Like, if you had to give an example of like, these are the 5 zones I would do, or break it down in this way.
I think it depends on your kitchen. I just left a really big kitchen that would have different zones, and I just moved into the cutest old 115-year-old house that has a little bitty kitchen. So this would be, you know what I mean, the bar. I only have one cabinety place that's like a pantry, the fridge. It's going to depend on your kitchen.
Yeah. How do you manage all your bells and whistles in a smaller space now?
I definitely implemented that idea of like, these are my most used things. And so I'm putting them in the most easily accessible areas. And then I just have one of those good Costco totes and I keep it in my basement. So I know
Got
like
it.
specialty items, like I have a star birthday pan and I have, the things that I'm only getting out, a jumbo muffin tin that I'm not using even once a month. And I just put them
Hmm.
in one box and I kind of keep it in storage and it's not been a big deal because I know where to go and look. If I'm like, oh, I'm not sure where that's at. It's probably, I have a sushi making kit. It's really, really fun and it works really well, but I'm only making sushi twice a year.
Yeah. And you remember that you have all these things because I feel like sometimes out of sight, out of mind, you know?
Then you should just go down to your Tupperware and be like, what fun thing do we need? Or if it's a snow day or if someone's birthday's coming up. Sometimes I'll even have my kids like, go rifle through that, see what you find. We need something to do today. You're right.
Okay.
It definitely can be out of sight, out of mind. And sometimes I'll mark stuff or I'll just put like a sticky note on it. And then I'll know like, oh, that's been on there a really long time. I could probably get rid of it. I didn't use it for a whole year.
Yeah. And the fact that you have it all in one place, right? Where you know, like all my additional kitchen gear is in this one tote or on this one shelf or whatever it is. Okay. So I know ideally you'd want to spread out this very daunting task, but what if you only had one afternoon, like one 3 hour slot? What would you recommend where someone starts?
I think duplicates. I think that we get really water bottles. How many of us have like a cabinet of water bottles? And
Yes.
moving across the country really helped me to like look at this and realize mugs. Mugs can be so sentimental. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yes.
like, but that's my
Yes.
Christmas mug and that my neighbor Emily gave it to me for my 40th birthday and I love it. But do I use it? Do I need 87? No. So you can
Yeah.
save them and store them. I'm in a big proponent. I am not a Marie Kondo kind of woman. I'm like, put it
Hmm.
away. And then if you want to release it in a year or two or three after it's sat there, you can. And it will feel better than like these giant purges out of anxiety and annoyance because I don't like that energy. I did it once and I was doing a big waffle push on the blog. So I had like 8 different waffle makers so that when I had 30 different waffle recipes, they didn't all look the same. And I got rid of like all of them but 2, and I still have sadness about the heart-shaped waffle maker. I'm like, "Why didn't you keep it? You really liked it." What do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did not have to Marie Kondo those waffle makers,
It
and I
brought
did.
you joy. It brought you
Yes.
joy.
Yeah, so I think duplicates, just really like, do we have enough water bottles if we all went on a hike and we needed a few extra in the car? Like, we probably have way more than that. And that's when sometimes I'll rein in my kids and be like, pick your favorite one, and then I will add the 3 extras just for rotation and washing and getting lost in the car. But sometimes I will do it without my kids. It kind of depends on what it is. But water
Hmm.
bottles, utensils, so many of us have like these huge, messy drawers of utensils. So the duplicates, I would work really hard on paring down, even if you're just storing them, but just getting them out of your usable space and then focusing on that usable space. Like I have a really nice little island, but it's only 2 cabinets wide. Like it's not big. So what's in those 2 little pull-out drawers, everything needs to fit and I need to be using it all because that is high real estate. And so like do an audit of that. Do you really need 14 slotted spoons? Like my mother-in-law, bless her heart, has a drawer like you can't open it. You can't get silverware out of it because there's so much stuff. She doesn't cook. I'm like, I know that there's like a family party occasionally, or you're hosting a barbecue. So I put those in my Tupperware. Do you know what I mean? I have a big Ziploc
Yes.
bag. Be like, if I'm going to host, I have a graduation coming up this year. I'm thinking about a graduation open house. I want some cutlery and some extra stuff. I'm going to put it in the bag for my once a year party.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just
Okay.
think there's a
That's
lot of noise and a lot of space that we don't need to be taking up in our prime real estate that would be pretty easy to put away or to get rid of.
such a good tip. I know. I always feel lighter too after I get rid of things that are just taking up space. Like, right? It doesn't have to be perfect when you open it, like with all the same mug or all the same, like, the
Oh,
water bottles
yeah.
perfectly in a line. Like, that may never happen. But when there's less of it, I do feel like lighter and freer.
Yeah. And then I think deletion is helpful, but then also like organizing by what you're doing. In my old house, I had a baking drawer. Like I could pull this drawer out. It had my cinnamon, my sugar, all of my flours, my leavening agents. It had baking soda, baking powder, vanilla. It was what I was doing when I was making muffins, brownies, cakes, cookies. Like there are so many of those repeat kind of baking items, and I don't have that drawer in this house. So I made a baking basket. It's not big, but it has my baking soda, my baking powder, my vanilla, my salt, my flour, and both sugars. And so I can just pull that little basket out from the one little cupboard that I have on the wall. And I think that having like a consolidated place where those most frequently used items are in that basket has helped a ton too. It'll streamline your time, but also everything has a home. You're not like swimming through everything to find your baking soda over and over again because you pulled out your baking basket. I feel like a baking basket is an underused habit.
Yeah, that sounds like it. All right,
Especially if you bake.
I have a follow-up question on this. I am a baker. Let's say, because like there's like the essential things you use to bake every time, and then there's like the extras for like only certain recipes, like almond extract, right?
Mhm.
Like you use vanilla extract all the time, but you don't always use almond extract. Do you keep the almond extract with your baking stuff, or is that in a separate area because you don't touch it all the time?
I put it in a separate area. My
Mm-hmm.
baking basket is literally probably like 12 by 8. It's very small.
Okay.
So
Got
in
it.
my other house, when I had a whole, it was probably 2 by 3 and 18 inches deep. I had a giant, it probably was 200 pounds of like flowers and sprinkles and extracts. It's not realistic in this house. So no, I keep it in my spice drawer.
Okay. So it just depends kind of on your space
Yeah.
constraints. Okay. I know because the organizer in me wants to be like, but it's a baking item. It should go with the baking
Yeah.
things.
Then I have a whole separate little thing for chocolate chips because you know what I mean? I have the mini and the dark and the milk and the white and the peanut
Wow.
butter. So
You
those,
really, I mean, you can tell you've been doing this a while.
yeah.
For sure. Okay. What are, and I know you mentioned this sort of in the triangle, so maybe this is a repeat question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But what are your top 3 high impact kitchen organization hacks that like actually save you time when you're doing the day-to-day stuff?
I think like, again, this is like the editing and putting it where it goes. But I have like the one really skinny drawer that all your pans fit in, like your cookie sheets. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need all your cookie sheets in it. Like, so put some over in the pantry where you're not getting them all the time. I keep one cutting board, 2 cookie sheets with their mats, one cooling rack right there. You don't need a packet full because you're going to be so annoyed every time you have to get stuff in and out of it. And like that
Mm.
drawer underneath your oven. Like if you don't have built-in ovens, it'll have like a little drawer underneath your stove in your oven. Like that. Like don't put a lot of stuff. That is prime real estate that I think that people don't use. Like they're not using it well. It's right there. Like put your 2 heaviest pans in there. I have 3 cast iron skillets. It's not overcrowded, but the heaviest things are literally 4 feet away from where I need to put them. And I also think if you have kids, our kids need meaning, purpose, help. We overfunction a lot in our lives. Like that is a societal thing that I think that our generation is going to have to combat quite a bit. Set your kids up for success. Like maybe you would put your cups and your dishes in a cupboard that maybe most of your kids couldn't reach. But if you could figure out how to put it in a lower drawer that they could reach, they can help you. And it might be a little bit more chaotic, but them unloading the dishwasher, knowing how to pull stuff out at dinner time, like having other people in your house take some of this work on because you thought about it and it's well organized, it goes a really long ways. And it also helps them to show up for the family.
Yeah. And it's life skills, right?
Yeah.
I
And
always
sometimes
tell
it's
my
easier to
kids,
skip those, isn't it? It's like
yes.
I can do it myself and I can do it faster. Sometimes I'm just tired. I just need the dishes to be like out of my way, but also like I'm their parent and in some way they need to contribute to this family because they're going to have a family one day. And I don't want them to think that their significant other or their spouse is just magically going to do everything because their mom did. That's not a
Yeah,
service to anybody.
I agree. Yeah. Like we've been learning about different cleaning methods lately in our house. And I tell them all the time, like, you're going to go to college one day. Like, you have to know how to like dust your furniture. You have to know how to, do this or do that or change your sheets. Like, so we've been getting there in our house
I
too.
love that. I have a launch list, right? I have an 18-year-old. I have a senior in high school. And so for the last few years, I've been keeping this like running list that I call her launch list, but it'll
Hmm.
translate well to all the kids. And a lot of cleaning stuff is on that. And like cooking from what's in the pantry and basics of budgeting and basics of car maintenance. But you're not wrong. Like more launch lists, please. I think another thing that I do for my kitchen is I get a lot of food kind of built up. I like to grocery shop. I like what's on sale. I will collect a lot of food, and then in a little kitchen or in a pantry, like things just start to feel overwhelmed and then stuff doesn't get rotated or I don't really know what's in there. And so every year in January, probably, I bet this is my sixth or seventh or eighth year, I do a pantry challenge where I just try to go to the grocery store as little as I can and I'm using what's in my house. And then that feels really budget savvy, especially in this economy too, because you're using the odds and ends. Like I got some steel cut oats that I like them. I just don't make them because they are a little bit more time consuming and I didn't get up early enough. So I'm doing like overnight steel cut oats tomorrow that I'm going to prep today because I'm in my pantry challenge. So I think that's something that's going to encourage you to use up a lot of the stock that you have in your house and to get creative or to use your specialty items because you got that nice chocolate for your birthday or you got the fancy honey. I tend to like save like, oh, my neighbor gave me those fun olives. Like, why am I saving them until they're out of date? Like, stop doing that. So some kind of like pantry reset or pantry challenge where you really challenge yourself to use what you have on hand is really fun. And I think it's good for your kitchen. I just feel like it helps slim it down in good ways.
That's such a good idea. I love that you do that. And I feel like you could probably do that pretty consistently. Like you could
Yeah.
opt to say like once a week, we're going to use something that, I'm not buying. Like it's just here. I'm going to utilize it, or even once a month or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because even your freezers, like sometimes freezers just
Hmm.
feel so full and I like having it. I like when I bought the big thing from Costco and I cut it into the pieces. Then I'm like, there's also a lot in there. Like I have to challenge myself because I'll just keep buying. I love
Yeah,
food.
I get it. I know. I get it. I get it. All right. Are there any like mistakes that you often see? Like, I'm sure you go visit friends and other people's kitchens and like, do you ever cringe because you see something and you're like, ooh, that's like big no-no in organizing your kitchen?
No, because different things work for different people. I am a big proponent of like have some clean space. Like make your junk drawer, but don't make it your junk cabinets. You know, your junk,
Mm,
like every flat surface doesn't have to have something on it because I feel like kitchen is a creative space and it's somewhere where you're rolling out the dough and especially if you're going to get kids involved, you're going to like, I love to make homemade pasta on a snow day because it's slow and it's a little bit tedious. And then they're having, these noodles for lunch that are so good, but you need the space to do it. So mine is like flat surfaces. You don't, how often are you using your toaster? Are you using your toaster every day? Great, leave it out. I don't use my toaster every day. I'm like a once a week max, I'm not making a lot of toast. That toaster does not need to be out. So sometimes my brain and my creative energy and even just the workflow of the area needs much less stuff on the counter. Your coffee maker, great. My KitchenAid, great. I have a knife block that I really resistantly got for Christmas a few years ago. And I use it every day. I have kept it out. I just didn't like the look of it. But now I'm like, oh no, that's worth the space because I'm using it.
yeah.
There's not like your blender. There's so many things. I'm like, why is that out? Like, is that really important to you? Is it saving your back? I'm sure that there are reasons that I don't know, but sometimes I think that it is you just didn't put it away. I
Yeah.
would put more stuff away. I would put more stuff in that long-term storage and you're going to be surprised at how much like you use. It's like your recipes. Do you know what I mean? We're making our same 6 to 10 recipes and occasionally we'll get creative. We're using our same 6 to 8 things in our kitchen and occasionally we'll get the other ones out. So it's okay to put them up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like nothing like a clean counter.
Yeah. I don't even have a microwave out. It's in my laundry room
Yes, I've
because I'm
seen
not a big
kitchens.
microwaver.
Yeah, I've seen kitchens where they like hide it somewhere and you don't realize like but how much like less cluttered it looks, you know?
Yeah, well, and I just didn't have the space. Like it was going to take up like an entire one corner and I only had the one corner besides the thing. I was like, it's not used this It's not worth it to me.
You don't use it enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But if you were using it daily, you would definitely reconsider that.
Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm using an air fryer more than a microwave. Like air fryer reheated pizza is so much better than microwave.
Yeah. But you don't keep the air fryer on your counter, right? Yeah.
No.
Because my air
But I
fryer is like
also,
enormous.
yeah, some people's are. They're like baby ovens. Mine's just a normal one. Those,
Okay.
like my grandma has one and she has very little counter space, but she's using it. She's toasting, she's air frying, she's baking cookies. I'm like, yeah, leave that out, grandma.
She bakes cookies in her air fryer.
Yeah, hers almost has like a convection oven setting. And it
Oh,
holds these cute little sheet pans. She has a really big one.
adorable. Okay, adorable. Anyway, off topic. All right. So realistically speaking, like we're in spring cleaning mode right now, but like how often should you revisit your kitchen organization? Like, do you wait once a year and do this big haul, or should this be a more consistent endeavor?
I think it's up to you, right? This is again your brain. Do you need it on a calendar or are you going to not tolerate it at some point and move on? Or do you just have planned breaks? Like it makes sense for me to do it in the spring and right when the kids go back to school or something. I I think that I do a little bit better if I say, okay, once a month, the first of the month, I have a running list. I'm a big like brain dump kind of person. So I just kind of keep these running lists of like, this isn't exactly how I like it. I have this bag of rice in one of my cabinets. It's taking up a lot of space. I should move that to I have 5-gallon buckets with these cool lids, but I have not transferred it. It's on my running list. So on the first of the month, I normally will set a timer between 1 and 3 hours, just one morning, and just like kind of like knock some of those things that have been annoying me but aren't overwhelming off my list. I think that's super helpful. Just like a super set time, a super amount of time with this running list so that you don't have to be annoyed by remembering it forever and getting some of it done on a regular basis. I think it's helpful.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think that level of like, I'll just say it's procrastination in a way, like when you're not doing it, right? It takes up precious real estate, just nagging you and bugging you. So there's that factor. But then I also love that you not only say like, okay, first of the month, but you set this timer because a lot of times we avoid the task, I think, because we're like, oh, it's going to take forever. And then you end up doing it and it's like 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
you're like,
And I'm online. So a lot of times I will set a time lapse video and then
oh,
like do
okay.
timestamps because there is nothing more motivating than to feel like someone is watching you. I get stuff
Yes,
done really quick. So
that's true.
time lapse. Sometimes I'll do it for my kids. I'll be like, let's time lapse it and see what it looks like. And it's so fun. And you feel like you can't stop because you're going to ruin the time lapse.
True, true. Absolutely. Yeah. I've taken one of those like wrapping gifts at Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gets me
try it with
going.
cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I bet. I bet. I've done it with folding laundry because that's like one of my least
Oh,
favorite
cute.
tasks. Yes. All right, Melissa. Well, we are at the point in our show where we're going to get to the lightning round now. This is where I'm going to ask you just some random, fun, personal questions so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
Currently, this summer I turned pretty.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people are into that. I know I
I have
haven't
an
I
18-year-old.
haven't
I had to see what it was.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? My mom friend who also has an 18-year-old daughter is watching it too, so makes sense. Okay. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
Mhm. Tell me why.
I love to travel. And if you didn't actually have to like get on the plane and do it, if you could just show up in Greece for the afternoon and eat some hummus, I would do that.
Yeah, yeah. What is one app you just cannot live without?
Marco Polo.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah,
Tell our listeners what Marco Polo is in case they're not familiar.
it's like a walkie-talkie app that has video. So you can like leave your friend a message. Like I just moved. There is no one here. There was a job at the other end of this move, but there's not family and there's not neighbors. And I left my sister-in-law that I just adore. And Marco Polo is just like a messaging app that they can watch it later because we're all on our own schedule. And I have also moved 3 hours in time zones from a lot of
Mm,
people. So I can leave a
yes.
message when I'm walking the dogs at 8 a.m., but it's quite early on the West Coast. So Marco Polo keeps me chatting with my friends.
Love it. Yes, totally. What book are you reading right now?
Ooh, the The Emotional Lives of Teenagers. It's super good. Everyone should read it. And even if you don't have teenagers, it'd be prepping for it. It's good for about like 11 to 25, I feel like. But it's also been like a lot of inner child work, a lot of inner teenager. Be like, I wish someone would have said that to me, and now I can say it to myself. Or it makes sense that I felt this way because these things were happening.
Oh, that sounds like a good one. Okay.
It's really good.
Last question here. What is something most people may not know about you?
I think that I'm an artist in another life. I'm always like, let's watercolor. I'm going to take a pottery class. Some of these things I
Yeah.
feel like I think that I'm fairly creative and you maybe wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah. I could get that sense because
Oh,
you're
really?
super
Good.
creative in the kitchen. So it makes sense that that would
That's
translate
true.
outside
That's
of it.
true.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Yeah.
that exciting. I also like to grow stuff. I grew a cut flower garden, like a whole acre of flowers once.
What? That's
It was
amazing.
magic. It was
That's a
so
real
fun.
talent. That's a real talent. All right. All right, Melissa. Well, tell our listeners where they can find you, connect with you, and then we will officially wrap up.
Yeah, if you need a recipe, I have almost 2,000 on my site, cover almost all the basics. So you could Google like bless this mess cornbread recipe. You know what I mean? If you put bless this mess ahead of a recipe, I should pop right up. And my cornbread is excellent if you need one. And then on socials like Instagram and Instagram stories, I'm sharing a lot about this new, really fun Vermont life. And so I'm at bless this mess blog on those socials.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest and sharing all your great tips. Appreciate it.
Thank you.